it really comes down to, are the efforts of Coinbase to offer this product, the staking product, are they of the nature of a securities issuer, or are they more technical services?
So the case SEC v. Coinbase, what do you make of these allegations by the SEC that Coinbase is operating an unregistered broker, clearing agent, exchange,
Yeah.
et cetera?
Yeah.
And also, can you distinguish those three things? Does it references broker, exchange,
Right.
clearing agent?
So the case says, I break the case up into three different buckets. There's one part of the case where they're alleging Coinbase for operating an unregistered securities exchange. And so basically they're saying some of the tokens on here are actual securities. And therefore, in order for you to create a market, to make a market in them, to create a two-sided market, to run an order book, you need to be a national securities exchange or
Yeah.
something similar under the SEC regs. Part and parcel of that is like the fact that an exchange can't also be a clearing agent, can't also be a broker dealer. Like these different
They have to be
pieces,
siloed.
like these functions are broken up in the traditional markets for reasons like conflict of interest and other things. And they're saying, in when you're registered as a national securities exchange, you can't also be these other things. And you right now are not only not registered, but you're performing multiple roles that the securities laws prohibit you from rolling. So that's point two. And that all has to do with Coinbase, the spot exchange, right? That's the app you pull up on your phone. There are two other aspects to the case which are very important too. The SEC alleges that their Coinbase's staking offering, where if you buy Ethereum or another proof of stake token, you can stake it on the platform. You could bring tokens off platform on the platform and choose to stake with Coinbase. And they have staking providers behind the scenes that do that, and you realize some of those staking rewards. They're saying that is a securities offering. And then the third is Coinbase Wallet, which is an unhosted wallet that's sort of built into the Coinbase app. Very similar in some respects to the MetaMask wallet from Consensus. That wallet application is a broker dealer, meaning
Wow.
that
That's
it's a
quite the
third
stretch.
party that is facilitating your person's transactions in securities. So those are the three aspects of the cases. And again, it's this judge in this Uniswap case who just put down the decision yesterday, who's the one overseeing this matter in the Southern District of New York.
So one of those, the wallet bucket, seems like quite a stretch. That doesn't even seem to pass the test of logic.
Yeah, the theory is that it's either the software program itself, and that offering that software program and maintaining it and updating it is the activity that should be the registrant, the broker dealer registrant, who needs to be regulated pursuant to the securities laws, pursuant to FINRA rules, is the software developer who offers that software package. That is a completely novel theory, especially when that broker, that agent, or that software developer that's supposedly providing this intermediary function isn't intermediating in any sense of the word
Right.
that a normal broker dealer intermediates.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see how hard the SEC presses that part of the case, simply because those allegations come at the tail end of the complaint. They are they recognize that the wallet itself is non-custodial, so they don't have any, Coinbase doesn't have any access to or power over or discretion regarding the tokens that its end user has maintained, like using that wallet. And frankly, it's kind of hard for me to believe that Coinbase Wallet is a broker dealer if Google Chrome or some other software package, or
Yeah.
like the interface on your Apple iPhone isn't also a broker dealer, because again, it's just a software package that
Yeah.
you're using to execute certain instructions that neither Apple nor Google nor Coinbase is interfering with or provide or facilitating in any meaningful sense. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that aspect of the case turns out. And that's obviously an aspect that it's paid a lot less attention to than the what happens to Coinbase, the exchange. But I think it's incredibly important for the peer-to-peer environment that part of the litigation be carefully watched and really vigorously litigated, because it has a huge impact on what software developers like my company, Consensus, who makes MetaMask, like to what extent did the securities laws apply to anybody who's literally just making software to hand it to somebody to have them use on their own. The SEC obviously views their powers as like terrifyingly universal over these folks, and that's where their reasoning really falls flat, and hopefully the court in this case agrees with that.
Yeah, it sounds like an extremely weak argument from the SEC's standpoint. So the argument that I think is probably taking up quite a bit of time for litigators on the attorneys on both sides, is the staking piece and the operation of a unregistered securities exchange. Do you see either of those as being stronger? I have an opinion on which one I think Coinbase has a much stronger argument than the other, but do you see, are those in your mind equally as crazy of a allegation as the wallet allegation, or are there tougher roads for Coinbase on either of those buckets?
I think Coinbase is right on both. I can't really compare them against each other in terms of like handicapping the likelihood of Coinbase being right on one versus the other.
Sure.
I think they're both novel cases. They're both obviously critical to get right, and will have ripple effects across crypto. And they really involve like different substantive issues on the Coinbase, whether it's a national securities exchange. That question really comes down to like whether a token itself can be declared an investment contract. What the Ripple decision was about was whether the mechanism through which the token was distributed, whether that was an investment contract. In Terraform Labs, the court took a different approach. Judge Rakoff, who, let's say, is not shy about agreeing wholeheartedly with the SEC about their jurisdiction and how to interpret the law. He noted that it's not just the manner of issuance, but it's the whole scheme. It's just everything about the token. When you all roll it up into one, is it an investment contract? And then what is the investment contract? Oh, well, let's say the token is the investment contract. This is where like that reasoning starts to completely detach from any sort of logical if-then statement. It becomes a much more whole cloth, dare I say, results-oriented process to find the token to be the investment contract. But if these tokens are investment contracts and therefore are securities, all the SEC has to find is like that one of them is an investment contract. It all comes down to what this Howey test means.
Yeah.
And whereas a district court may think it means X, we have an appellate process, and fundamentally, the higher up the ladder you go, especially the Supreme Court, I think would be inclined, if I was a betting person, to construe its past statements on the nature of the Howey test, its articulation of the Howey test. It would probably construe it pretty narrowly. Like the SEC has read out, to the extent the Supreme Court has articulated a standard as being the Howey test, lower courts and the SEC has read out certain words in that test, saying that word doesn't matter anymore. Like the word solely on the efforts of others. Like certain courts in the SEC, it says, oh, well, they don't mean solely. Like, well, the Supreme Court said solely. So, okay. So I find that's the National Securities Exchange. I think that there's a lot of reason to believe that this very expansive view that you can just, there's no limiting principle around the thought process that gets you to a token itself as an investment contract, and therefore every token is a security. Coinbase's argument is that, well, tokens could be issued in a securities transaction, but that doesn't mean the token itself is a regulated security, and therefore the token is just a commodity because we have nothing to do with the issuance of them.
Right.
And I think that's probably the better of the two arguments. On the staking side, it really comes down to, are the efforts of Coinbase to offer this
Product,
this staking product, are they of the nature of a securities issuer, or are they more technical services? Because the purpose of protocol staking is to ensure the data integrity of the network and to process new transactions. And you can either do that on your own or you can get help. You can outsource your node to a cloud computing service. You don't have to run a server in your house. Is a cloud computing service now a securities provider because they're providing you technical support?
Service, yeah.
The answer is like, well, clearly not. Well, what is Coinbase doing? Yes, they have custody of your token, but are they doing anything with the token that, aside from like running some applications for you that you pay them to run, and that you could do on your own, but you're outsourcing that administrative effort to them to make it easier on yourself? Is that more of a technical service, or is that really the type of effort that you associate more with the issuer of a security, where really whether you make income or not off of it is really predicated on all of what they're doing? Coinbase says it's technical services. What are you talking about? SEC says, well, if you do any effort whatsoever,
Wow.
and the person's expecting some sort of profit as a result, and they have to put up money or something of value to participate, oh, then it's a security. So I think it's a different question, and I think Coinbase's arguments are just as strong as they are in the prior case with respect to the National Securities Exchange.
Hey, it's Amy. Click over here to subscribe, click over here for more content, and we'll see you next time.